Hi, this is Ravane Hellsdaughter, the Wandering Witch, and I have been asked to talk about my hair. There is a lot of it. There is a lot of it. I've gotten a lot of questions. I didn't write any of them down, so I'm just gonna say some stuff and hope that I answer questions, and if I don't, you can always ask more questions below and then I can answer them later. So I started my hair, well, okay. I had partial locks, like just a few, anywhere between 2 and 8 locks for about a year and a half before I twisted up the rest of my head full of hair. And so it was in June of 2015. Yes, it would have been June of 2015 that I put in this lock. It's my monster lock. I love it. And this one. And I put those in first because I'd been thinking about locking up my hair for a long time. And I had some friends who'd done it, and you know, I'd seen some people on social media who'd done it, but I knew, like, it's a big thing. It's hard to go back. It takes a long time to do. You may not like it. It might not turn out how you want. So I figured, okay, let's do these two. And these, I put them in the night before I started my permaculture design course. So it was kind of at like a special turning point in my life, I felt like, and I wanted to carry that with me. I've always seen locks in the hair or braids or anything as a form of not magic, and so every lock on my head that I've put in at a time when I was going through something or there was some experience that I wanted to save the energy of. Or at least I decided that the energy that was in the air, that was in my life at the moment, was something that I was okay with tying into my hair and wearing for the rest of pretty much ever, if not of just a very, very long time. So I had this one and this one for a year and this one for a year and a half before I put any of the other ones in. And between that time, or before I did the whole rest of them, I put most of these in between October 7th and 9th of last year, which would be 2016. And by that time I had also put in these, which this was 2 locks, and now it's 1. So when they were in my under layer, they grew together, and I didn't realize it until it was too late, and then I thought about trying to pull them apart. I mean, like, you can do this, you know, that's not gonna get you anywhere. You can pull them apart all day, and I don't think anything's gonna happen. So I just kind of decided I was okay with having a giant monster lock. So that's what that one is. But yeah, I've had those for a while. I've had these since Samhain of 2015, I guess. And there are probably a few others. This one I had put in before. So most of my really long ones I had put in a while ago. This one, these, this one, this one. I think probably a few more of these are old also, but I don't know. And then the rest of them I had been, so I'd been thinking for a long time. I'd been kind of saving up money, theoretically. You know, I said I was saving up money, but the pile of money was not growing, to pay somebody to start my locks. Because I'd read a lot about it. I really wanted to do it right, and I didn't want to fuck it up myself. Sorry. I didn't want to screw it up myself. I really wanted somebody who knew what they were doing to do it. And so I waited up for a very long time, even though I was sure that I wanted to lock my hair up. And I knew that, like, the sooner you start, the sooner it does its thing, and, anyhow. You know, it costs like $700 or something. For my amount of hair, it was going to cost like $700 and take somebody like 3 days. And I get that. I get that. If you're going to do that to somebody else's hair, because it took me 3 days to do. I did it myself. I ended up doing it myself. And it took me at least 3 days to do. And yeah, if I'd had that kind of money, I can totally see it being worth it. Because, I mean, my locks are not the kind of locks everybody wants. There's, you know, there's a lot of loops. I've had a lot of shrinkage. I don't care. I just want my hair big and wild, and I don't want to have to brush it. And so I love it where it is. But if I had wanted, like, really neat locks, I would have paid somebody to do it. Or I probably would have just not done it because I couldn't afford to pay somebody to do it. And I'm sorry, I don't want really neat hair. That should be clear from this conversation. So I was very lucky. I got to go to the festival Desert Trip in October of last year, so 2016. And while I was there, I was sitting in the grandstands watching the Rolling Stones play the song Brown Sugar. And I'd never really been into the Stones before. I wrote about this actually. I put a meme out like right then, and it was me dancing on this balcony, and it said like, new philosophy: dance now, learn the song later. And that was from Desert Trip, because while I was there, I knew all these bands, like I knew all the artists, but I wasn't like super familiar with all of their work to the point where I could sing along with all of it. And usually that would have, like, you know, I'm very introverted. Usually that would have made me very uncomfortable and nervous. And I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to dance now, and I'm going to have fun now. They're pop songs. They're easy enough to learn. Rock songs, pop songs, whatever. Like, I can dance to this. I don't have to know it. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And so I was there listening to Brown Sugar and dancing along and having the time of my life. And I was just like, you know what? I want to keep this moment with me. I want to keep this moment with me. And so I decided to put in, well, my dad had asked me earlier that day, how do you start your locks? Like, how do you start one? How do you make one of these? And I had, like, you know, a little wisp of hair back here, and I just showed him. I was like, oh, it goes kind of like this. This is what you do. And I can't show you guys now, but there's plenty of tutorials out there. And so I kind of showed him one, and then I think I maybe got a little carried away and did like 3 more in the underlayer. But then while they were playing Brown Sugar, and I was like, you know what, I want to carry this moment with me. I want to tie this in. I want to have this. I want to keep it. I'm gonna make, what better souvenir from this festival than a lock that I tied in during one of these songs. You know, originally my little man was on my Brown Sugar lock, but I think my Brown Sugar lock was a little lower down. But I don't know, maybe this was it. We're gonna call this my Brown Sugar lock. So this is my Brown Sugar lock. It's got my little man on it. Well, Alistor is his name. And I put that one in, and then I let it sit, and that was one of the last songs of the night. It was Bob Dylan had opened, and then it was the Stones. So I started putting them in during the Stones, and then we went home, and I was on the bus taking us back to the parking lot or the hotel or wherever we were going. And I think I put a few more in on the bus, and somewhere on that bus ride or something, I just decided I was going to do my whole head that weekend while I was at the festival. I was just going to go ahead and do my whole head because it's my head. What's the worst that can happen? And I was working a job at the time. I was in food service, and I wore a hairnet. So I knew that, you know, however bad it went, my work wasn't going to get me in trouble for it because I wore a hairnet. They couldn't see my hair anyway. And I don't know, I put a lot into my appearance, but it's not, I don't, like, I'm not that deeply invested in whether it comes across exactly the way I want it to. I have fun, you know, I put a lot into my appearance because I'm having a lot of fun with it, but if it doesn't turn out right, it's not the end of the world. And so I kind of figured, I was worried really about sectioning. I was not afraid to do the twist and rip myself, which is how I did it, but I was afraid of sectioning. And I'm just gonna, I don't know if this will show you anything. I did not really section. Probably if I ever have anybody come professionally work on my roots, they're gonna be like, dear God, what did you do? And the answer is I didn't. So I don't know if you're able to see anything about how this is done. There's locks of all different sizes in here. I originally started them all very, very tiny. You can go back and see pictures of my hair when I first started it, and all the locks are super tiny. I still have one. So because they're so tiny, I made them tiny because I wanted a lot of them, and also because I'd seen really tiny locks and I really liked the tiny ones. And I knew I had some big ones already, and I kind of wanted a mix of sizes, and so I made them all tiny, but I ended up with a mix of sizes because what happened is, well, a lot of the tiny ones just looped up, and so, you know, it's still pretty small at the top, but it's looping all the way through to give itself some more thickness. That's what's going on there. And then, yeah, that's what's happened there. There's at least one that's like stayed here. I think this is it. That stayed, yeah, it has stayed really thin and really long. There's only a few that have done that. And then some of them, oh, I've got my ring stuck in my hair now. And then some of them grew together, and some of them I put together on purpose. So like, where's, yeah, okay. Well, there's a lot of, I ran into a lot of problems that I solved in different ways. But yeah, some of them I put together on purpose, and if I did that, usually what I did is I like took the two, and I can't show you now because they've already done it, but I would take the two and I'd like put them in a bead together, and then just let the bead like hold them together and do its work. This is another problem dread that I wanted to talk about. So this one, it locked up really well up at the top, and it just stayed really loose down here. Like nothing I did would get it to stay all together, and so I just braided the bottom half of it, and I actually really like having this braid in here that's not locked up. This is not a bead, it's just a ring, but this lock is so big at the top it can wear rings. It actually broke. I had a bead on it that I'd made, and my lock got so fat that it actually stretched out the bead and broke it. So that's also why I'm not selling dread beads, just so everybody knows, because I made myself a whole bunch of polymer clay and gemstone dread beads, and I really love them. And I've gotten a lot of compliments on them, and some people have asked me to make them and sell them, but I've had, like, almost all the ones that I've made have broken. Not all of them, but most of them. And I mean, I think it's just a matter of, that's the nature of the clay. The clay is not going to hold a lot of moisture, the clay, and I mean, I took them out to shower or whatever, but, yeah, the clay doesn't want to deal with moisture, and the clay is not going to hold up to a lot of pressure, and I slept on them. You know, some of them broke in my sleeping on them. One of them broke because I missed it in the shower, and then it got really wet, and then it just kind of crumbled, and then one of them, some of them have split while I was like trying to put them onto a lock that had gotten bigger than it was before. So yeah, and then, so this one has turned out so beautifully because it has this bead on it. That's this long ceramic bead that I've had for years and years and years, and I wish I had more of these, because look at that, that's so beautiful. ugh. It's also really heavy, and this lock is like it's a really good size to be able to support a bead of this weight, and it's in a really good place. It's like at the, almost at the nape of my neck, to support that much weight. And so I'll move this bead up and down sometimes to, like I have a loop there right now that I'm kind of trying to get out, so I'll probably let it sit there for a few hours and see what happens. Most loops I don't care about. What I do for washing and maintenance, I think, were the other two things I was going to talk about. For cleaning my locks, my original plan was to wash them once a week, because I knew my hair, even before it was locked, my hair could take all day to dry. It's so thick, and it's so much thicker now than it's ever been before. And so yeah, even unlocked, my hair would take forever to dry. And so that was the main thing I was afraid of when I decided to lock it, is that I was afraid that my hair would never ever dry and it would just mold and I would be sad. That has not happened. So my plan was to only wash my hair once a week and just wear a shower cap the rest of the time. And so before I locked my hair, I trained my hair to only need to be washed once a week. And it got taking it really, really well. Once I locked my hair up, I found it didn't need to be washed anywhere near that often. I mean, like, I'd love to be sitting here and telling you that I wash my hair 3 times a week to keep it clean, and therefore I'm not gross, but the real fact of the matter is that it doesn't take that much to keep it clean, especially because I'd already trained my hair to need less. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the shape of the locks keeps the hair more away from the scalp, and so it doesn't collect oil as much. I don't know if it's because the locks are like so much their own entity that they don't, I don't know why it is, but I do know that I can feel my hair after a week and a half of not having washed it, and it still feels pretty damn clean right now. I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been about a week and a half since I washed it. And I mean, you're looking at my roots, like, this is not greasy hair, you know? This is not greasy hair. So there you go, the real truth from me. I don't wash my hair very often. I mean, I wash it when it needs it, but it's like rarely enough that I don't actually know when that is. I'd really like it if this wasp parted thing would just go. Thank you. Washing, check. Other maintenance, oh, what do I wash it with? I wash it with California baby shampoo it's like fragrance free or whatever. I was gonna get the one that had lavender and tea tree in it, but Target didn't have it. I ordered a shampoo that's like specifically for dreads called My Tangled Knots, and it's foaming and it's like tangerine scented or something, and it smells really great, and it makes a great body wash, and it was supposed to be residue free. Maybe it is, I don't know. Maybe I got a bad batch, I don't know, but I put it in my hair. I like bought this specifically to wash my hair, and I put it in my hair and I washed it, and I rinsed and rinsed and rinsed and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, and I could not get it out of my hair. And this was like a week or so after I'd started my locks, and it was like they really needed to be washed. They really needed to be washed, and I hadn't washed them since I'd done it, since I'd put them in. And then I finally got this My Tangled Knots, and I washed it with it, and I couldn't rinse it out. Nothing I did could rinse it out, and I was unwilling to put in like the shampoo that I had in my shower already. I was unwilling to use that because I knew it was like herbal essences or something, so I knew it was full of stuff that would leave residue in dreadlocks. So I wasn't going to use that. And with like now like terribly dirty greasy hair full of shampoo that I couldn't rinse out, I had my boyfriend drive me around to, I want to say like 3 different stores. We ended up at Target, and they had California Baby. They only had the unscented version. Shampoo is like $25 a bottle. I'm not shitting you. And I'm like, I'm one of those people who's super generous with my resources. Like, if it's in, you know, people stay at my house all the time. I let people eat my food all the time. Sleep wherever you want in my house. Touch my rocks. Do whatever you want. Eat my food. Use my shampoo. Don't use my California Baby shampoo. If you use my California Baby shampoo, I will be sad, because, you know, $25 is a quarter of $100. It didn't used to seem like a lot of money to me, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's especially a lot of money to spend on shampoo. So I'm not going to tell you that it's not, but I will tell you that because I only have to wash my hair pretty rarely, and it doesn't leave a residue, it's worth it. I have to use a lot of it because it's very thin. It doesn't foam up a whole lot. It doesn't foam up really easily. It's very thin, and I do have to use a lot of it. Especially because, like, I can squeeze a whole bunch into my hand, but then if I go like this, now it's like all right here. So I have to like squeeze a little bit, put it here, squeeze a little bit, put it here. And sometimes I'll just like squeeze to get it evenly spread out. But then I can wash it. Anyhow, and I put tea tree oil in mine because they only had the fragrance-free one. And the tea tree oil stimulates the scalp, and your scalp can get a little itchy because it's used to being brushed. And so the tea tree oil is really nice. So I use that. Other maintenance, especially after I wash my hair, the locks will start to grow together. Or like if I've had, occasionally if it's really hot, I'll like have my hair in a bun or in a ponytail, and sometimes like for 2 or 3 days without taking it down, or without, like, you know, I'll take it down and put it right back up just as it falls down. And when that happens, locks can start to grow together. And so I just try to be aware of that, and I'll like sometimes intentionally leave my hair in something like that for a couple days if I'm just wanting my hair to lock up a little more. But then after a few days, I always come apart, and I spend a lot of like time doing this, like usually while I'm doing other things, but just singling out each lock and making sure it moves separately from all the other locks at the root and that they're not attached. And so, right, I've been really good about it. They're not attached. But when they have gotten attached, I'll just rip them apart. And I'd love to show you, but it doesn't seem like I have any that need ripping right now. So I will rip them apart. I did start these twist and rip. I didn't do a very good job, but when the way that I calmed myself when I was starting my hair, because I wanted a professional to do it, the way that I calmed myself doing it was I just told myself, you know what? People do this all the time. Like, just people use the neglect method all the time to form dreads. Like, you know, they don't even start them, and they still turn out fine. So I can make this up and do this without looking on the back of my own head, and it's gonna turn out fine. That was what I decided. It's like, you know what, I like how neglect dreads look. I really only want a little more control than that. So let's just go for it. And yeah, these are all pretty well separated. What's that one? Oh, that's my citrine dread. Got a little citrine on it. So yeah, I've put the wraps in. I heard a lot of rumors that, and this may be true, that if you wrap a dread and you don't take the wrap off soon, then the thread will get like caught up in the lock and you'll never be able to get it out, and it'll mold, and that'll be bad. Yeah, this one is still wrapped here at the bottom. I wrapped this one when I put it in. I tried to take the thread out like 3 or 4 months later. I couldn't get it out. It's definitely stuck inside. I ended up just like wrapping it more around the bottom and tying it off again and cutting it off. So it's still in here. This thread is never molded. I've had this one on since October of whenever I told you, 2015. It's not ever molded. And so I just decided that I was okay with putting wraps on a bunch of my hair and never taking them out unless something changed my mind in the future. And so I put all these in with different gemstones that's got like a seaweed quartz. And this one has some, I think it has some peridot on it. Yeah, there. And there's a bunch in there that's got these things. There's some amethyst and some moonstone and some quartz. So I've never had a problem with these. I've put them in to kind of help the locks shape up because I'm not a huge fan of too many loops. I do like my loops, but I also like to tame my loops a little bit. So that's why I put the wraps in. I wear a lot of beads for that reason also, and also just because I like having things in my hair. The beads really help keep my locks separated from each other. I used to wear a lot of them up at the root. I'll probably slide some more of these up to the roots later, but right now I have some working on the ends. Like here, let me show you what this one is working on. So this is just a really interesting thing going on here, and I'm just kind of trying to train that together into one shape. So that bead is sitting there quite happily doing that. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm not that invested, I'm just experimenting. I can't imagine what else you guys might want to know about this mess of tangled locks on my head. It does hurt sometimes. It doesn't hurt right now. If it hurts, if my scalp starts to hurt, I will either, so after I wore those 2 ponytails the other day, and after that my scalp hurted. My scalp hurt the next day, and so I just took a day to wear all my hair up in a tam, one of those crocheted hats. And that helps because then the hat carries the weight, and my scalp is not carrying the weight of all my hair and all the beads. The only other time I've had my dreads hurt is back in, I think, like January or February. I made all of my beads in December, and I'd been wearing all the beads, and it started to hurt one day. I was like constantly massaging my scalp and nothing was helping, and so I took out all the beads that I was wearing, and I weighed them. I posted a picture too. It was over a quarter pound of beads in my hair, and so I took them all out and left them all out for like 4 or 5 days, and that really helped. Yeah, I think I hope that this answered. I hope that with 28 minutes and 31 seconds and counting, I've answered all the questions you could possibly have about this hair on my head. If you come up with more, comment below. Maybe I'll find time to answer them. But yeah, this is what it looks like at about 8 months. Hey, I'm sitting on my bed filming right now because I just remembered there are 2 more things that I sometimes do to my hair. I don't really think of this as something that I do to my hair. I think of it more as something that I do to my body, but I do it, so I'll let you know. This is just a little spray bottle filled with water and some clove oil and patchouli oil. And I spray it on myself sometimes, and I think hair holds scent longer than skin does, so I tend to just spray it all over my hair. And if I wear other like essential oil blends, sometimes I'll put that in my hair. I'll sometimes use this lock especially to hold a few drops of essential oil, because then I can put it on there and then slide the bead up over it, so it's not, I can even use peppermint oil or something, especially like if I'm trying to clear my sinuses. I'll put peppermint oil on my lock, and then I'll move the bead up on the lock so the peppermint oil doesn't get on my skin, but I'm still smelling it. And so I'll do that. And the other thing that I do, and this was what I really want to tell you about because you're really not supposed to do this. And there's a lot of good reasons that you're not supposed to do this, but I do it anyway. And that is cut dreadlocks when they like grow together in inconvenient ways. I just checked these and I don't think I have any doing it right now. And I don't do this very often. And I experimented the first time. So the reason they say not to do it is because a lock is you're no longer dealing with a finite amount of straight hairs here that are just grouped together. You're not dealing with that anymore. You don't know where any hair in this lock begins and ends. And so cutting, one little piece, like for example, if I wanted to clean up this loop, I could cut the place where it's attached. But what I could end up doing there by accident is basically just cutting my dreadlock off. Just because of the way that they're structured. And so, but I had some that had really grown together, like I had just not done a good enough job. And it was just a few hairs, it was just a few hairs on each lock, maybe 10 hairs max, connecting the two locks together. But if they were where I would do this with one and another lock would come rising up below it. Kind of like that. And then it's like, they're connected and they got to be either pulled apart or cut apart. But sometimes all the pulling I could do, it wouldn't work. And so I did a test run. I was like, you know what? This is me. I know how I feel about my hair. The very worst case scenario is half my dreadlocks fall off halfway through their length, and I can deal with that. I'm willing to risk that. So for the sake of the experiment, I did that on 7 or 8 of my locks. I cut them apart. And for me, nothing happened. It was fine. I have one lock on my head right now. It's somewhere over here. Maybe 2 locks that I'm like a little concerned about how thin they are at the root. But I'm pretty sure if I'm just gentle with them from here on out that I'll keep them. And if not, it's okay. So that may not be worth the risk to you. You might just want to be more careful than I am, or have somebody professional deal with your locks. I just am not willing. I would love for somebody to work on my hair. If I had that money to spend on that, I would do that, but it's just not a financial priority for me right now. You'll notice my dreads could probably look a lot neater and cleaner with a little bit of crochet maintenance. And I have a crochet hook, and I can't do it worth shit. So I've just decided I don't care. If somebody wants to come and barter with me and crochet my locks in exchange for jewelry or tarot readings or whatever, and you're in the Austin area or traveling through, hit me up. I'm down. I'll give you stuff. I just don't have money. I have stuff. I just don't have money right now. I'm working on it. But so for me, it's been a priority to figure out how to take care of these things in a way that makes me happy myself. And that's how I do it. Pull them apart. Wear beads. Don't wash them very often, but wash them really, really well. Really try not to get them dirty. If I do go swimming in natural water and I do get it wet, natural fresh water, I'll wash it like right away. When I was in Kauai and I was going swimming in the ocean, I was going swimming in the ocean practically every day. So if I went swimming in the ocean every day and then washed my hair every day, that would have been terrible. So I just literally didn't wash my hair until I got back to Texas because I didn't want to take my California baby shampoo with me either. And I was just like, whatever, I'll be in the ocean every day. It's not like my hair is going to be clean anyway. And it was great. The salt water was great for my hair. I do recommend that. I probably should make myself a saltwater spray. I think I'm going to make myself a saltwater spray. Y'all have a great day.